Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, the Force is with the readers, and we see the second and last book in a Marvel Comics series this time around. I'm your host, Nathan P. Butler. You may recall that a while back we took a look at a thing called Marvel Illustrated Books Star Wars #1. That was this book here. It includes, as you're now seeing on the screen over here, the stories The Way of the Wookiee, The Day After the Death Star, The Weapons Master, and the War on Ice story that was actually the ending part of the Kingdom on Ice story, all of which were originally printed in Marvel UK. Now, if you're interested in Marvel UK, make sure you check out the recent release of the supplement that I put out. It's From the Star Wars Library, Supplement 3, Marvel UK series. So check that out, gives you all kinds of background on what was printed in the Marvel UK series, what was original, what was not, etc., all the different names and all that kind of stuff. But we have a story here this time around that was reprinted by Marvel in the United States, not in the 1990s where Dark Horse had the reins and put out that classic Star Wars Devil Worlds, but actually some more stuff from Marvel UK being reprinted in the US by Marvel itself. This is a story that originally appeared in Star Wars Weekly numbers 107 to 115. That was the first name under which the series operated before it changed to The Empire Strikes Back Weekly, etc., went to monthly and all that stuff. Again, check out the Marvel UK episode. They were all collected in Marvel's Marvel Illustrated Books Star Wars #2, World of Fire. Holy crap, that is a very, very long title. Suffice to say, though, it is an original UK story being printed here in the United States in October of 1982. This one was written by Chris Claremont, with art by Carmine Infantino, which means, again, some silly, silly artwork. And boy, are there some oddities in this particular volume. Now, something that's kind of amusing about this story is something that you notice before you even open it up. It all revolves around the idea of characters. We have our power cover here, right? Nice. So we have, let's see, C-3PO, R2-D2, Leia Organa, Luke Skywalker, and No, not Han Solo. And some chick we've never met before. Her name's Missy. We'll see her soon. In fact, we see her on the back. Because on the back, they promote this as an exciting, novel-length Star Wars adventure. First time published in the US. We're good so far. Featuring all your favorite Star Wars characters. Wow, cool. They're all back. The gang's all here. Luke Skywalker, check. Princess Leia Organa, check. R2-D2, Verbert, check. C-3PO, check. And introducing Missy. All your favorite... Darth Vader? Maybe? Obi-Wan Kenobi, though he does show up briefly as an image in the sky as Luke is thinking about him. How about Han Solo? How about Chewbacca? How about Yoda at this point? It's 1982. How about Lando Calrissian? All your favorite Star Wars characters, what are they saying about the way people feel about those other characters here? Are they trying to make a judgment call? Are they sliding them? Are they... I don't even know what you'd call them. You can't call them speciesist or racist or something like that, though you could, I guess, in a politically charged political climate, perhaps. But, I don't know. It just seems as though they're kind of picking their own favorites when they're talking about all our favorites. Pick this up thinking you're going to find Han Solo. You're SOL, pal. You're not going to be able to see it. That's a Sith out of luck, by the way. Another thing you'll notice with this, once you open it up, it's readily apparent that there is something different from this book. How was this one promoted here? 4 new adventures in full color. Doesn't say anything about that here. Why? Because it ain't full color. This one's black and white, whereas the previous one was color on the inside. That is another thing that kind of stinks about the way that they handled this particular reprinting, but at least it was reprinted over here. Makes me wonder if in Wild Space, that volume coming, that Star Wars Omnibus volume coming from Dark Horse Comics that will include a lot of the UK stuff, I gotta wonder if they're going to colorize it in there, because the only color you see here is the cover, and where they took some of the images from the inside and did it on the back there. So what exactly is the story of World of Fire? Well, first off, it's divided into 3 different parts here. The first part is called World of Fire. The second part is called The Word for World is Death. The third part, and this always makes me laugh a little bit, the third part of the story is entitled The Guardian of Forever? Really? Or I guess I should say, The guardian of forever? Fascinating. Seriously, you're going to rip off a Star Trek title that blatantly? Really, Claremont, or really Marvel, whoever it was that made that decision? Another oddity about the book. The idea here is that there's a planet called Alashan, and we start out with two rebels trying to check out a research facility that has suddenly gone silent, only to wind up being killed themselves. In fact, one of them even makes it to his Y-wing and then gets blown out of the sky by something that seems a lot like a Death Star type of laser. Holy crap, could there be something else like that out there that's not in Imperial hands? Or could this be an Imperial research station? Nobody quite knows what to make of this. Meanwhile, Luke, C-3PO, R2-D2, and a new character that we are meeting here for the first time, Misi Shabandar. We meet her here. She winds up looking very different later on in the story. She's the lady there on the cover here. Okay. Don't worry if the hair doesn't quite look the same. There's a lot of hair issues in this, as we're going to wind up seeing. Mostly for Leia. They are on a mission to a facility called the Foundry. It's this Imperial base where they're building starships. And they are there to steal a ship. Really kind of like the way that this one looks, but I'll show you the first time that they show it. The Star Raker. That's it. Kind of parked there, landed. That's it when it's blasting its way out of the facility on Foundry. But they've got this experimental spacecraft. They fly it out of Foundry. They've just captured it, but, pardon me, says General Dodonna, you guys are the closest ones to this facility on Alashan where things have gone batty, and we need you to go and check it out. Okay, fine. They make their way there. They are blasted, or almost blasted. Luke saves them with the Force, and wind up splashing down in lava. The ship sinks. The lava around it starts to harden. They wind up being trapped. In the process of being zapped around, Misi winds up being thrown against the bulkhead and hurt. Oddly, R2-D2 apparently has all kinds of medical data in his databanks, and they're able to do some basic work to try to help her. Luke is cauterizing her wounds with a lightsaber with very light touches and stuff like that. Only it turns out that there are also Imperials on the planet. And that is where you kind of get this odd enemy is my friend kind of thing. If you want to think of the enemy as the world, and the friends forced into that situation being the Empire and the Rebels. Luke cuts his way out to wind up meeting Willem Grau, right? Man there in the center, Willem Grau, who also has with him Ensign Lopaki and Fleet Sergeant Anarine. Lopaki, fresh from the academy, is someone who sees them, realizes who they are, and is like, it's Princess Leia. It's Luke. We need to kill him. We need to take him in. Man, they're enemies of the Empire. That's our duty. Except, Grau is like, excuse me, we're all kind of screwed here. We don't know how we're going to get off the planet, and neither do you, so maybe we can work together, get out of here, call a temporary truce, save our butts. What do you say? Lopaki sees that as treacherous on behalf of Grau, so he winds up plotting to take out Leia and Luke, whether Grau wants to or not. They find themselves attacked by this giant beast. They don't quite see it initially, but they're attacked by a giant beast that usually is shown with just kind of his hands grabbing things for the first couple of parts, not revealed until really the third. But they eventually make their way down to where it came from, this massive, massive city with these pillars and such that have hieroglyphics on it that Leia is able to recognize. She realizes that this beast that's been running around and killing a lot of people, it seems as though this beast is sort of a solid-state hologram type of thing. They're coming in to kill it and everything, kind of vanishes and such from time to time, where the city's computer system is creating it with these massive computers as sort of a protection measure to try to protect the city and such. And you get the feeling that the system itself is almost sentient, because by the end of it, they're very much cornered. They're able to blast all the computers and such, and doing so winds up, in theory, making the creature vulnerable there. As they're blasting it, the creature is freaking out, right? That's it. Luke had the answer. He never had a chance to follow through. They give the creature its power, its life. If we destroy them, the computers, we destroy it. Blast the consoles. They blast him. It doesn't fade away or anything, but Luke is able very soon to stab through it with his lightsaber, so it's still solid somehow. Eventually they leave. Lopaki has been defeated, of course, in his attempts to kill Luke and Leia. They get off the planet, and in doing so, Missy is okay at this point, and we never really see her again, but she is okay at this point. They get off the planet, and the two groups go their separate ways, just as planned. Initially, Luke and Leia do try to convince Growl to actually join the Rebel Alliance because he seems more honorable than the Empire and such, but no, he decides to stick to his guns, and he heads out and goes back to the Empire. But he does keep his word in an honorable fashion as far as being able to work together and then go their separate ways at the end instead of trying to be a traitor on that deal and go against them. So, an honorable man in the end. Now, we said there'd be some weird issues here. Okay, we meet Missy, and she is essentially in the gear that befits being a tech. It's hard to see it. Like, you know, kind of headband and stuff like that, jacket, no big deal. Once they're onto the ship, for some reason, she decides to change what she's in. So that by the time the creature gets there to try to attack her, only to find her essentially feigning being dead so it goes away, it's more of this. Something you'd see probably in Conan. Now, from what I can tell, that's actually an outfit with those pieces on it. It's not just those pieces. It's not Leia in the bikini type thing going on here. But Carmine Infantino is really kind of stretching it with something that makes sense from a logical standpoint as attire here in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, it's a fantasy saga, and you see that with things like Conan and such, but it's still kind of pushing it. Warlords of Mars and all that. That's what it reminds me the most of. It reminds me of something we might see in Edgar Rice Burroughs' book cover or an illustration to go with one of his stories. Leia and Luke, meanwhile, have like these black jumpsuit type things underneath their jackets. For instance, Leia there running with the black jumpsuit type of thing. Except in Leia's case, it seems like the sleeves on this thing keep appearing and disappearing. When they're all complaining that it's hot and they're inside the ship, no sleeves. Essentially a tank top kind of thing going on there. Or whatever you call it for a woman. I don't know much about women's clothes. Sorry, don't wear them myself. Later, though, once they're actually out on their mission, you know, to go find the city and all that kind of stuff, presumably she's wearing the same thing, but all of a sudden the sleeves are long again. How did that happen? Honestly, though, the most hilarious thing about Leia's attire in here, or Leia's look, it's her hair. Carmine Infantino always tends to show Leia, or often showed Leia, with the buns in her hair. Just like in A New Hope. Yeah, it's Leia. She needs the bun hairdo. There it is again, and so on and so on. What's interesting here is that unlike most of the other times we see her, where it seems like the hairdo pretty much just stays the way it is all the time, in this one, whenever things go wrong, whenever there's an accident, you know, when the ship crashes and everything like that, we see the hair unroll. And this happens repeatedly. It's rolled, something happens, it's unrolled. It's rolled, something happens, it's unrolled. For the love of God, put a scrunchie in it and get on with the damn mission. I don't know. In so many ways, it makes for an odd story in those respects, whereas overall, it's actually a pretty decent story. You know, it's the ancient city and such, and again, as I said, it sort of seems like they might be sentient. I think I kind of lost that point there along the way. They think the whole thing is burning down and destroyed, but as they leave, there is computerized laughter being heard that makes you think that maybe the civilization itself is gone, but the computers there are continuing and the threat is still out there. I mean, it plays out pretty well overall, you know, kind of transparent in the motives of the characters, and it's kind of convenient that Leia is able to read the hieroglyphics and find out to go to the computer control room, but, you know, it's a decent little tale by Claremont here. It's no more unbelievable than the other ones that he's told in Star Wars. Certainly not as unbelievable as the whole thing with Starfire Rising and The Last Gift of Alderaan back a while. But, I don't know, the way Carmine Infantino dealt with the artwork here kind of is weird. I'm not sure if it was at his direction or at the direction of Chris Claremont in the script for the comic, or perhaps at the direction of Archie Goodwin, who was credited as the editor of this book. So, yeah, an oddity out there. But if you're a collector, kind of a cool one to check out, because these two are the only ones in this series that present any new material for US readers. Everything else in book form coming from Marvel for the Star Wars stuff, when it's actual comics, pretty much just reprints of the movies over again. So, kind of cool to see it, but weird to look at, for lack of a better term. With that, we'll wrap up this episode and that series, Marvel Illustrated Books. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the readers.